Hey, Toe fam. Hey, again, I hope this video finds you doing really well. Hey, we are into day 3 right now, and if you've been journeying with us throughout this week, we've for the past couple days unpacked a couple things that could ultimately be hindering the effectiveness that God wants to bring forth through us, and maybe even through our Tove community. And we've just kind of been wanting to open up the doors on those things and maybe dig a little bit deeper to see if we can expose them, not only so that we can find more freedom within our own lives, but again, so that we can together live out the impactful lives that as a community that God ultimately has designed for us as his children and as representatives of his kingdom. And so day 1, if you remember, we talked about fuzzy lenses, meaning, hey, might there be any areas in our lives where we may be not seeing things as clearly as we could, and what may some of those things be that may be hindering us from seeing things clearly. And then yesterday we talked about also really how our knowledge of who God is has a huge impact on our knowledge of who it is that we are, and ultimately who it is that we see other people to be, regardless if they're acting that way or not. That's a huge element to this. Just because you or I or somebody else isn't acting a certain way doesn't mean that we still aren't designed to bear his image. The closer we are in proximity to him, the more we're going to understand who we are by knowing him even more. So today, what we're going to unpack is really just some cultural stuff. Could there be some things within our culture that may be hindering us also from living this out? So I'm just going to read through a passage here from Jesus himself. One thing to understand is that in the Hebraic language, much of it is word pictures. This is where we get Jesus's use of parables from. This would have been in direct correlation to that language. But in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus made this statement in Matthew 6:22. He said, "The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light." Sometimes this may make sense to us, but if we dig a little bit deeper, Jesus uses specifically when he says that the eye is, if your eyes are healthy, this Hebrew word would have been tov ayin, which means good eyes. So for those of you baseball fans, you know exactly what this statement means. You see the ball coming in and you recognize it's not a strike, you hold off, you don't swing at it, and people will be like, good eye, good eye. But this is exactly what Jesus is saying here. But what's deeper is he means the purity of our motives. So the opposite of this would be ra'ayin. Did you know that many of us can be doing good things, but with poor motives? We can even do this with ministry, that we can do things that on the outside may look good, but we could be doing it for selfish motives, for recognition, to puff ourselves up, to make ourselves feel good because of insecurities. The list goes on and on as far as what our motives may be, but ultimately, this is what Jesus is getting at. And the reality is, at the end of the day, each and every one of us are designed to live out a heartbeat of Tov Ayin, that we have a generous spirit that is hardwired within us, because this is exactly who God is. And so this is just kind of the wrestle today. Again, I've shared with you before, normally I don't go after these things that the evil one may want to use to hinder us. But this week is kind of just some spiritual warfare that we're going at. The purpose, though, is that together we can live effective lives that are far more powerful than anything that we could do on our own, through God's guidance, through our understanding of who he is, and collectively through our community when we live this way together. So the truth is that his people, his children, have designed to impact the world powerfully, to be set apart people who live in such a way that the goodness of the Lord draws people from the outside in to his kingdom. This is an incredible opportunity and purpose that you and I both have. I'm so grateful to be able to do this with you, and encouraged to realize that we can be even more impactful the more we continue to dive after these things together. So thank you for being on this journey. I'm excited to continue further with you as we lead up into this weekend. But again, I hope that this encourages you, but I also hope it challenges you. I want to dive deeper together with you and just see what God has in store for all of us. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.